Good morning, everyone. Leah Dixon here from Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am actually coming to you on a replay because this Wednesday morning I'm actually busy with some family appointments. So I've recorded this on the weekend and just showing it for you during my regular time slot on Wednesday mornings. And what I have for you this week is a one layout, 3 cards. So in our annual catalog, Stampin' Up! Has provided us with a bunch of cool card templates on page 22. I've actually created a document that kind of enlarges them and is printable. And this is available in my monthly newsletter that features my one layout, 3 cards. So each month I choose one of the layouts and then I create 3 cards using it. So I'll just switch over to my desktop and focus in on the one layout that I'm featuring this week or this month. So I have decided on this little guy right here. So it's a very, very simple card, and I wanted to feature such a simple card this month because I don't know about you, but I'm like really in the midst of creating tons of Thanksgiving cards, tons of Christmas cards, and I need something that's going to be fast and easily reproducible. So let's move that out of the way and we're going to get started. So my first one is actually not a Christmas or a Thanksgiving card. It is a birthday card because I do desperately need a ton of those in October as well. I think there's about 30 birthdays between family, friends, and customers in the month of October. It's a bit crazy. So this is just one of the birthday cards that I've created. I love this one though because it uses the Full of Life 6x6 designer series paper. So this is just an absolutely gorgeous designer series paper pack with beautiful watercolor patterns. Any and all of them would be perfect for this card. Like there's not a single pattern in this pack that wouldn't work, but I particularly love this burst rainbow. So what I did is I took the 6x6 and I cut it down to 3x4, I believe. Either that or just slightly, no, sorry, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. My goodness. So 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I've created a border that's just slightly larger out of Blueberry Bushel. The color escaped me for a moment. So I've just created that. So you can literally do this with any designer series paper. Grab yourself a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece of DSP. Make that border that's just that 1/8 of an inch larger. And then, oh my, with the liquid glue that seems to have disappeared from my desktop. What is going on? That's interesting. Oh my, okay, well, I guess I'll go grab a whole new bottle. I don't know where my bottle would have gone. Crazy. A child might have borrowed it because some of them are busy making birthday cards for Grandma. Wednesday is actually her birthday, but tonight on Sunday night, because this is being recorded in advance, we are actually going out and celebrating her birthday. So they might have borrowed it. All right. So we're going to glue our DSP, whatever pattern you chose. But I do love this starburst. And I'm going to glue that to my cardstock layer. Then I am going to glue all of that to a card base. In this case, I've just used a thick basic white card base. And center it as best you can. If your paper is directional, make sure you're putting it on in a way that makes sense. Okay, so just like that. And I can put away my glue now. And we can get busy creating our tag. So put that to the side. I have not pre-cut my tag for this one. The particular die that I'm using is a little bit tricky to stamp my image onto, especially since I am using the throughout the year stamp set. And so I'm using the happiest of birthdays. And this stamp set is on rubber, so I can't see through. So it's a little bit harder to line up. So for this one, I am going to use Blueberry Bushel ink. And I am actually going to stamp my sentiment first and then die cut it. So stamp my sentiment. There we go, beautiful. Put away my Blueberry Bushel ink. And then I'm going to grab my dies and die cut this image. Now, I am using the same set of dies on all 3 cards today. And this is the Christmas Labels dies. I actually did this as my card class to go earlier this month. I am in love with these, and I wanted you to see that maybe with the exception of this little guy, the other 3 dies are very easily used with other stamp sets, other sentiments. So I'm taking kind of the more blocky one, and we're going to line this up and die cut it. It fits in there just beautifully. So let's grab the mini machine and some plates, and we will die cut that sentiment. So pop this on there. So when you're doing this, just make sure that the bottom of your T and the bottom of your Y make it in, and then the top little divots have kind of lined up over the H and the F. Oops, and then try not to skip it around a bit. And there we go. And it just lines up so beautifully. So there we go. We have a lovely label. And we'll pull that off, put that away. And now we are ready to put this on. So I am going to put my label right about there. I'm going to use dimensionals on the back of it. And before I pop it down, I'm going to tie some twine and put it behind there. So the twine I'm using is actually from the 3 color pack. So you get Balmy Blue, Lemon Lolly, and which pink? Floaty Flamingo. In the so it's a 3 pack of twine, and it's lovely. So I'm just taking 2 strings of it, and I'm tying them into like these giant floppy bows. So like the ends are as long as the bows, and it's just huge and giant and floppy. Now I might actually trim this up just a tiny bit, make it just a little bit smaller. What I want is a big bow that's going to sit behind and be really, really floppy. So I'm happy with that now. I'm going to grab my mini glue dots. I'm going to stick a glue dot right onto the knot of that big floppy bow that I created. And I'm going to pop it down right there in the center of my card front. Then I'm going to take my sentiment label, peel those backings off of my dimensionals, and I'm going to pop that right, oops, let's make sure it's straight. Pop that right over top. And now I'll grab a pair of snips and trim this up. There we go. And last thing for this card is we are going to add a little embellishment. I have got here the iridescent faceted gems, or what I have left of them. And I'm going to have to go get a new pack. Oh my goodness. These are just so beautiful. Christmas cards, birthday cards, you name it. And I love that they're iridescent because they kind of pick up the colors around them and are just so sparkly and beautiful. So that is my first card using that layout. So we've literally just got a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece of GSP. with a label in the middle and a ribbon behind it. And then I added some bling, but you don't need to. So that's our first card with this layout. Our second card, I think, is my favorite. It's a Christmas card. Here we go. It's a super classic, gorgeous, sparkly Christmas card. I'm not sure if you guys can see the sparkle on the word Christmas even, but I've colored it with Wink of Stella, and so it shimmers here in person. It is gorgeous. So to create this card, I have used the Sentimental Christmas 12 by 12 DSP, and this is actually our cardstock as well that is a fundraiser. Now it's escaping me right now what it's a fundraiser for, but every year Stampin' Up! Does like a give back on the sale of a certain product, and this is the product this year. So it's just a really, really nice vintage DSP pack. And so you see one side and the other side. So we've got stripes. This one I can never, it's such a hard decision. The snowflakes and the birds. I don't know. I ended up using the birds on this card. The candy ribbons and the trees. This is just a piece of a larger, like you could use it for scrapbooking, kind of full-size scene with a lantern. Here we've got some candles and candy canes. This one has stockings on it, a bunch of holly and our old-fashioned candy cane stripes. So it's beautiful vintage paper. Love it. All right. So again, all I did was take a piece of DSP, same dimensions, glue it to a piece of cardstock, and then we're going to stamp our sentiment and tie our ribbon, and we're done. So it is such a fast and easy card. So when you have like a ton to do, this is a great way to do it. Now, if you wanted to save on your DSP just a little bit, you could make your DSP 3x4, and then you'd actually get more out of a sheet. I just felt it ended up being just a tiny bit small. That being said, you could do your cardstock border a little bit thicker than mine, and then it would fill up a little more space. And then you're going to get more out of a DSP pack. I'm not worried about getting more out of a DSP pack because I am drowning in DSP. I'm fine using the 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 and just having to cut up more sheets because I have so many sheets of DSP to cut up. It's crazy. And retired Christmas stock and all the things, right? You just grab your DSP to pick your colors, and the rest just puts itself together. Oops, I just got a little bit of glue. So that doesn't happen to me very often. Crazy. All right, I am going to just put my lid on my glue. I'm going to grab my glue eraser to clean that up just a bit. Okay. So this is why some people don't like liquid glue. I like it because I can move it around to line things up. But if you don't love liquid glue, of course, use one of our other adhesives. It's going to work just fine. All right. So for this one, I have pre-cut my label. This one I do find easier to stamp once it's cut. The stamp set I'm using is also the Christmas one that coordinates with the Christmas labels dies. And it is a clear stamp, so it's very easy to see. So I'll show you the whole Christmas labels. So we've got 3 here that kind of coordinate specifically with this die cut. We could ink them up in different colors if we want to, do all sorts of beautiful things with it. I'm going to keep it simple and stamp it all in Pretty Peacock today. But then I am going to color it in, so we'll get a little fancy. All right, so I've got my Pretty Peacock ink here, my sentiment. All right, and now this one does line up quite nicely inside the shape. There we go. Beautiful. Set that off to the side. Put away my Pretty Peacock. And now with that done, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella and I'm going to color in the inside of those letters. And in person, I'm not sure on the screen here, probably not, but in person, the Wink of Stella is kind of grabbing some of that fresh, pretty peacock ink and is giving just the slightest tinge of color to where I'm coloring those beautiful sparkles. So it's not just getting sparkly, but it's getting like a very soft blue in there. All right. So you don't want to press very hard. I'm just using the very tip of my Wink of Stella. And coloring all of that. All right, so in person, that makes quite an impact. Let's see if I can get it to show for you guys. No, it's really not. Well, a little bit of the sparkle showed through there. So it's just very subtle on the screen, but in person it's a little bit more dramatic that we've got that shine. All right, now I have the pretty peacock and gold ribbon. This is such a nice ribbon for working with. It folds so nicely. It's so soft. So I've just made 2 little bunny ears here. I'm going to cross them over and pull it into a big bow. And we can play around with this. Just keep pulling on the ends, looping it around, making it the size we want. And there we go. Once we're happy with the size, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to grab mini glue dot. Now you can stick this down to your card front, or you can stick this down behind your sentiment. And that's what I'm going to do this time. I just want to make sure that it's running the way I want it to run. So I'm going to stick it down behind my sentiment, and then I'm going to come back here and put my dimensionals on. Whoa. Just like that. And then I might even use 2 additional ones for this. Just right there and right there. It's a bit of a bigger tag, and I want it to be secure and holding that bow in place and everything. All right. So got 4 on there. Bring our card back in. And then, oh, you know what you also want to do? You want to make sure that wherever you're putting this, we're not interfering too much with our deer. So I'm actually going to put this down a little bit lower and a little bit not centered so that we see this one little deer face. We do unfortunately cover up our other little deer, but that's okay. We've got one. And then I'm going to grab my scissors and I'll trim. This one doesn't need much. There we go. And there we go. All right. So there you have it. We have our second Christmas card, or first Christmas card, completed. And so it's quick and easy. Grab your DSP and then pick your inks from there, pick your ribbons from there. And oh, I need that glue eraser a bit more. Still a little sticky here. Oh, there we go. All right, that's better. Okay, so there is our second card using this one layout. So exactly the same layout, completely different cards, such a different feel, and I love them both. All right, now our third card, we step away from using the DSP, and I'm going to show you a different way we can do this. So instead of designer series paper, I have embossed and inked up a piece of cardstock. So just a really nice autumn feel here. So same size as before. I've got my 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. But this is basic beige, and I've used the Leaf Fall 3D embossing folder to create a pattern. So this one's a cool folder in that it's actually got a diagonal to itself. So I just put my cardstock in like this, to catch a piece of the embossing. And so then we've got the blank spot down at the, well, what will actually be the top. So we can also create it in the same orientation, but I had decided to turn it sideways. We could do this one differently and put it down on the other way, and we'll see what that looks like as well. So we've got that folder, and then the stamp set that I'm using is Simply Said. I've been using this one so much because it truly is that. It's Simply Said. They're simple, easy to read, beautiful sentiments for exactly what I need cards for. So it's absolutely perfect. All right, I'm going to start with that one. I have pre-cut my label again. This one's easy, especially since I'm using it with a clear stamp again. It's super easy to see, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment in Cajun Craze. So just grab that very simple thank you and pop that on there. And voila, we are done with our sentiment. That easy. All right, so I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper just because I don't want to have to wash my glass mat here while working with you guys. So I've got this, and I'm going to start with crushed curry and a blending brush. So I'm going to just, I don't want it to be too dark. All right, crushed curry can be a little bit intense. And then very lightly, I'm not pushing it all, just very, very lightly, I'm going to give the whole piece a little run with crushed curry. I could have just started with a crushed curry base, but I felt like it was too vibrant, and I wanted this to be a little bit softer. All right, so there's my crushed curry on that. And I can put that ink away. Now I'm going to come in with a layer of Cajun Craze. And again, just very, very lightly, and it's going to be almost like a mottled look. I'm not worried about getting a really nice, even pass over this. I want it to be kind of mottled the way leaves would be mottled. And I'm going to go right up into the corner as well. But you can see a lot of my yellow is still showing through. I'm really not working to cover the yellow, just work with the yellow. All right, now I will come back through and I will make some of my leaves a little bit darker. Not the maple ones though. The maple ones I've got a different plan for. So we're going to come in here, and all of our not maple leaves, I'm going to do a little bit more. If you really wanted to target them, you could also use a smaller brush, which is actually what I'm going to be doing to apply my third color, which is Poppy Parade. Okay, so there we go. We've got a nice mix of Cajun Craze and crushed curry. And now we're going to bring in our final color, which is Poppy Parade. So this color scheme was definitely inspired by the September paper pumpkin. So now with our Poppy Parade, I am using a smaller brush, and I am just coloring the maple leaves, nothing else. So again, we're going to get like a spotted textured look here. I think maybe that's it. We'll do that one just in case he's a maple leaf and I can't see him. All right, so we don't want too much red. I might do this little guy just so we have some splotches. So it's very splotchy, very like watercolory almost. I don't know. So it's just a fun little look there. Now that we've got that done, we can take that piece and, just like on past cards, we're going to glue it to a piece of cardstock. In this case, I'm using Cajun Craze as the cardstock that I'm gluing to. So here we go. that. Come on in, glue that together. And then we're going to glue this directly to our card base. And I have chosen a basic beige card base as well. Okay, that is far too much glue over there. Thanks. Okay, so I'm going to take that and glue it to basic beige card base. There we go. All right. Now with that done, we're going to do exactly what we did before. This time though, I am taking some Cajun Craze twine from the Winterly Nests twine pack, and I'm tying this into a giant double bow. Okay, just like that. And that's going to go behind my sentiment. So again, we can grab ourselves a mini glue dot, put it right on the knot of our big bow, and pop that behind our sentiment. Put some dimensionals on here. And then attach this to our card front. Just like that. And then, oops, it's a little bit bigger than I wanted it to be, so I can just pull it smaller. That's the nice thing about doing the big loopy bow, is you can make it any size you want. And then trim up the ends. And then this one, I actually am using the Earth Tones Shimmer Gems. These also coordinate with the Winterly Treetops suite, or the Winter Nest suite. And let's see if I can open them. And I'm using the Cajun Craze ones here. So let's see here. Oh, yeah. I just cut my nails and they're not cooperating now. All right. Okay, I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. My nails are too short. All right. There. And we just popped those on to add a little bit of sparkle to this card. And that is our third card all done. So I used a slightly different orientation for this one and a different technique to create our paper, but it is essentially the same layout. So let's bring all three back in so you guys can see one layout, 3 cards. So such completely different ways of different looks for these cards, but exactly the same way of creating it. It's, you know, your DSP or your homemade DSP attached to a cardstock layer, attached to a card base, tie a ribbon, add a label, and then add bling if you'd like. So very, very quick and easy cards, which is great for when we want to send a little cheer to our friends at the holidays and we just don't have time to create as many as we really want to. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching the replay. I will be back live again next week. No more appointments and stuff interfering with things. So I will see you live next week. And in the meantime, we're rapidly approaching the end of September. So, you know, if you want to get in touch and place an order with me before the month is over, we've still got a chance to get in on that 40% off code for first-time Paper Pumpkin subscribers, and lots of fun stuff going on with our new catalog. So also, if you don't have a new catalog, please feel free to contact me so I can get you a copy. You can also view it online and at stampinup.ca and see all of the great goodies that we have. A few days left as well to register for my Reindeer Days stamp camp that I'm offering. I do still have 2 packages of peppermints. I've been really restraining myself. I bought them for myself, but I know that they're out of stock again. So if you would like to join my stamp camp, don't worry about the peppermint piece. You can send me an e-transfer the peppermint and purchase the other pieces and still be able to join our stamp camp with all of your supplies and everything you need. So feel free to contact me if you want more information about that as well. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.